This is your first and only two-time dog heavyweight champion, Breaker Moran, and you're listening to the Alliance Guys podcast.
This is Lois Brain here, and I'm advising you to do yourself a favor and watch the Alliance Guys podcast.
This is David Goldie, the World Wrestling Grand Prix champion, and you're listening to the Alliance Guys podcast.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast.
I'm building an alliance.
Will you join us?
Well, it's not supposed to repeat. Hey, what's up, everybody? I can turn this off. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Jay Cal. These gentlemen with me, one of them is a dog emblem. The other is the photo of the World Championship for the IHWE. Those are my guys. They're the Alliance guys, Jade and DCam. What's up, fellas? How are you today?
Wasabi.
Bah!
Did DK turn into a sheep?
I don't
Or a
think
goat? Grumpiest of all time?
You're on it today, man. You must have had your W.
Make sure you get your W and use the code so Jay can get credit.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's not Jay, it's the Alliance guys that get credit. I'm just the one that appropriates the funds. They're just not. It's not a lot of funds, to be perfectly honest with you, but yeah.
I'm going to have to order some, actually, because I need some Beach and Peach and some Tears of the Marks or whatever it's called.
Big energy tears. Yeah, Tears of the Marks, that's pretty clever. I actually need to get some, too, so I'll be joining you on that. Yeah, we have these partnerships with Trophy Smack and Dubby, and when you guys use our partners for either your energy drinks or your replica trophies, your fantasy sports trophies or your bowling trophy league trophies or softball leagues or employee of the month awards, all that stuff, if you use that code, the Alliance blog, like we get a little something, you get a little something, we all win on that. So I did the plug first this time instead of at the end of the show.
But we should get one for DK for being grumpiest of all time.
He might already have one made, a belt being shipped to him from India. DK, could you?
Probably Pakistan, you racist bastard.
Well, I was trying to be non-racist by, I know that I think the term is called, it's a Paki belt, and I don't want to use those kind of expressions because they could be considered racist.
I don't think they make them in India.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong. Anybody know? Anybody get their belts made in India?
So check this out, right? Because my other job is being a person who rents heavy construction equipment, and buckets are generally manufactured in China because of the large steel reserve and everything else. But there are competitors to the China market in India. And if we're going to get real down to it, the BRIC is the Brazil, Russia, India, China countries that are developing, and you're seeing a lot more industrialization of those countries that have been for like the last 20 years. So yeah, I think you could find a belt maker in India. I'm just not sure if that's a thing or not.
I wonder why they're popular in Pakistan, honestly. Same thing for ring skirts.
I think it's just the cheap labor. Honestly, it's a niche, right? Like, think about it. How many fans, how many wrestlers, how many wrestling promotions could need a championship belt? If every one person in America had one, I mean, that's only like a couple billion. That actually sounds pretty marketable, but not everyone in America has a title belt. So
they should, and if they don't have one from Pakistan, they should get one from Trophy Smack.
Way to tie it all the way around. You should do this for a living.
Oh God, no! I see what they pay. Slightly better, slightly worse than what I'm getting paid right now, and much better actually what Dr. Zirconium pays me.
Luthez says Silot, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the Center for Metal Fabrication in Pakistan.
And that's actually where most of the belts come from. So that's actually, I learned something new today.
Hey, look at that.
Hope I didn't push something else I learned today out of my brain.
Well, you know how you used to be good with never mind. We'll move on. Hey, Willie Bowen's got a Tyrus joke for us. You'd like to hear it? Here it goes. Hey guys, Tyrus signed a deal to have his face on toilet seats. Why is that so funny?
Because you need help.
Yes. I think your reaction's funnier than the joke.
I would like to have my face on toilet seats. Where can I sign up for that?
Is it like the top half when you lift it up is his face, and then the round part's his mouth?
It's just that's amazing. Nicely done, Willie. Bravo, sir. Bravo. I bought. I haven't even opened it out of the box yet, but I bought a sound card where I'm supposed to be able to push buttons and have different sound effects.
Womp, 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 womp.
I don't know if that'll be used on this show or on the pre-party, but coming soon. Weird and annoying sounds.
Besides the ones that come out of our own orifices?
Yeah. Fathead has you covered. Do you mean that I could get a toilet seat fabricated to have Tyrus's face on it, fabricated from Fathead?
I thought he was calling Tyrus a fathead.
I mean, he might be. Could you imagine sitting on this?
Somebody call your mama.
If I get out of the picture, will it zoom in better? It does. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
All right.
You know, those satellites have come a long way.
Satellites?
Yeah, that's how they get a picture of them from space.
Oh, jeez.
They use that Hubble telescope to get all of them in one shot.
I didn't realize how articulate this figure is. You can literally twist its waist.
It moves better than the real Tyrus.
He's more flexible than the real Tyrus. I'm gonna go to a Lucha Libre show tomorrow.
Intentionally?
Yeah, with my new pal Soto 619. He's a San Diegan, don't you know? And
I kind of guessed.
Yeah, we're gonna roll down. It's gonna be fun. I haven't actually officially met Soto, but he's on TikTok and has become a friend of the.
Just make sure you come back with all your kidneys.
Yeah, that is horrifying, Jay. Do you leave that randomly about to scare your children? Are you talking about the Tyrus figure? No, that's in the office, man. That doesn't get seen by anyone but me and you guys occasionally.
Yeah, gave us PTSD.
At least I didn't give you a VD or an STD.
Okay, this show's done. So.
Yep, there goes our funding for the.
Hey, I didn't use like the official words. I used codes.
Quickly, get your W before we're canceled from our contract's canceled.
It's too late. The email just came in. It's all right. We got that buckets for rent money now. By the way, you guys, I know we're gonna talk about power here momentarily, but I have been putting a lot more effort into the alliance-wrestling.com website. It's been updated. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on that you could check out there. Of course, I did a deep dive on Ricky Starks, now Ricky Saints in the NXT. We talked about his time with the with the AEW and of course the NWA. We've got content, the results from the shows that I've been attending, like the Crash last month and SmackDown last month. We're always updating Power news and notes. I'm working on an article for Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. And of course, next Tuesday will be the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood return to Irvine. That'll be updated. And of course, we're putting up new information in terms of events that are coming up, like the NWA, along with its territories, are really putting on some events that are coming up. And all that can be found at alliance-wrestling.com. You're reclaiming that number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance.
This is the first event since the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators event at Monmouth University, isn't it?
Yeah, the first live stream since then. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And that was I got to see. I watched Fala Bala crush Connor the Flag Boy, and
yeah, I got an injury report on that one.
Is he still alive?
He wishes he wasn't at this point.
I would imagine.
Yeah, he actually separated his shoulder. Or it's just that when Falaba jumped up and landed on him, he actually had his shoulder separated right then and there. So it was a torn rotator cuff, I think, is the actual injury.
No. That's
so
too bad, man.
So his flag waving days are over.
What was that?
His flag waving days are over.
He still got the other arm.
Until we put him back in the ring with Fala, but that's not the point.
Well, he's had a match coming up with Recon Boligursky. I have a feeling that match is in jeopardy now.
So in the chat, they just said that the Colognes are on Impact Wrestling tonight, and I don't have Impact or a way to watch Impact. What's going on? Have you guys heard about this?
I have not.
I mean, I'm not surprised, but I mean, I hadn't heard anything.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. So we all know that the NWA does have some contracts, but I don't think anything that they do is exclusive. But Elijah, it says Elijah's there, which I thought Elijah just showed up in TNA. Excuse me,
it
showed up in Ring of Honor recently.
He probably didn't have an agreement to work with Ring of Honor, so he probably is now maybe working with something with TNA.
And
I thought he had just signed a deal.
Yeah, I did too. I guess not. And so Elijah and Joe Hendry are taking on the Colognes tonight on their main event. Not that you should leave our live stream to go do that, but apparently that's what's happening. The NXT and the TNA is at the Full Sail Arena, the former home of NXT. So this is a little wild, man. And we'll get to the NWA in just a minute, but you remember when I told you we were talking about the TNA NXT deal, and I thought, wow, how cool would it be if Nick Nemeth were to show up, with the TNA Championship? The other one that I was really excited to see was Moose coming to the NXT to wrestle against Obafemi, or actually, I think I wanted Obafemi to come to TNA and challenge for the X Division title, and now we've got Obafemi and Moose having a stare down on the CW. You've got the TNA X Division champion and the NXT world champion, and it's just, this is getting crazy.
And who's coming next week?
The Hardys.
Yep.
Is there someone else besides the Hardys?
No, just that.
And like the Hardys, I mean,
Well, I mean, there may be somebody else, but yeah, that's what I was getting at.
I mean, they had Ricky Saint show up just recently. I mean, man, I was looking at the video on YouTube, and and I wrote about it yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. And they had over 300,000 people have watched Saints. That's going to be hard to get used to. Ricky Saints signing his NXT contract. And that was like 18 hours after it had been published. So not even a full day, and already 300,000 people watched something that was happening on the on CW. Not the main show, not Raw, not SmackDown, but their YouTube channel, which means people had to actually go to YouTube. It wasn't like on a social media feed. They had to go to YouTube to watch that. It had been seen over 300,000 times. And just for forgiveness here, I'm looking to see how many people saw it since then. And now it's over 400,000. So, like, it's getting pretty wild with the whole crossover between NXT and TNA. And, is that good or is that bad for wrestling?
I'm going to say this. Hot take start, first of all, I think NXT is the most important show the WWE has right now. Reason being is the NXT show is more geared toward the younger audience.
Yeah.
And it's on free television. People say, like, KB's dying, this, that, and the other thing. Do you know who doesn't have a very big presence on social media and on YouTube and all those stuff as much as other races or other people, other ethnicities do? Spanish, mostly from Mexico. The Mexican population is still very into watching television comparatively to other ethnicities. And I think that's a great thing because they are trying to grab a younger audience. So that's where the YouTube and the Instagram and the TikTok and everything else comes in handy. But they're also trying to grab an audience that watches on free television. And if Mexicans have a tendency to watch more free television, actual broadcast television than other people, that's great because that's another audience that they could build toward. AAA and CMLL and early the UWA, they were a cultural phenomena for a while in Mexico. And while it's still a big deal, I mean, you're going to Tijuana to go see it. Lucha Libre is still a big deal in Mexico. It was one time like a second religion, other than, to Mexicans. The mask was sacred. It still is, but it was extremely sacred. So now they have a chance to build an audience to the younger generation of Spanish who aren't necessarily watching Lucha Libre, and build an audience. And who knows, NXT could be sacred. And all those people that are sitting there watching it now, they'll have kids and they'll share that with their kids. One thing about wrestling is it's always kind of been multi-generational. My brother watched professional wrestling. My dad watched professional wrestling. My mom swore she didn't watch professional wrestling and then would jump up and down and curse when Ric Flair or Bobby Eaton or Jim Cornette were cheating and get all excited. What was that?
Are we brothers? Sounds like my mom.
Yeah. I don't watch that garbage. Kill that son of a... But
I hate that damn Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, she did. She hated... They were her three most hated were Ric Flair, Beautiful Bobby. She just absolutely despised Beautiful Bobby and Jim Cornette.
Is it because he wasn't all that beautiful?
It's one of the main reasons. How dare he call himself beautiful? But yeah, she hated Tully Blanchard too. Really hated Tully.
I mean, I hate
well, anybody with brains hated Tully.
Well, but yeah, now wrestling's multi-generational. You have your kids. You have at least one of your kids watching wrestling with you. DK, have your kids watch wrestling with you, right?
The older one has, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I have any kids. I'm a very good chance out there. But if I did, they would definitely be watching wrestling with me.
There's some truth to that. That's the part where we don't know.
Yeah, but at least both my nephews watch professional wrestling because of me. And because of my brother.
Why'd you do that to them?
No, but everybody, like my family is a pro wrestling family, at least the males in my family. They all love pro wrestling. And my nephew, Ricky, he's going to bring his oldest son soon to a Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators event, probably maybe at the one at the Nerd Force Fan. No, not the Nerd Force Fan Fest. The South Jersey Geek Fest. It's a free event for people that attend the South Jersey Geek Fest. Get your tickets now. But I think that's why I think it's a big deal right now because of that. I think because of it being on free TV and still out there and still doing popular on YouTube, and it's geared more toward the people that care about things like Ricky Saint being there and TNA still existing.
Yeah.
So that's the audience that's going to be the future of wrestling, and that's the product that they're going to fall in love with. I fell in love with the original Star Wars. I know a lot of people who fell in love with the prequels. So that's their Star Wars to them. There's going to be fans who grew up now on The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah.
And that's going to be their Star Wars. That's going to be what they associate with. That's going to be the one that got them into the franchise. And it's the same thing right now. NXT is the franchise that's getting new fans that's going to build for that next generation. To answer your question?
Yeah.
That made me sad.
Why did it make you sad?
To think that Garu is what's going to be what people say a Star Wars fan. Oh, that's what's wrong
with Goku? Not
Grogu.
Goku. Grogu.
Yeah, geez. Goku got an end to it or something.
I didn't even watch. You know what? I don't even watch Dragon Ball. And I said Goku.
But Groku's great. The Mandalorian, the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian is great. Third one sucked, but we'll ignore that.
You know, I was even okay with that. I was okay with the third season. Look, and again, we are talking about Star Wars again, but like, I'm all for people just.
We're nerds today.
Yeah, I know. Look, you don't think I fucking know this? my wife was like, you didn't have all this stuff, and I go, yeah, you met me when I was poor, and I have some money now, and now I have stuff. All that to say, like, I don't care what gets you into the fandom, and I don't care what particular part of the fandom you like. When I was a child, I had 3 Star Wars movies. If I was lucky, I'd find the droids on a VHS tape somewhere, the cartoon, or the Ewoks on a cartoon videotape somewhere, or I'd find the I forgot what it's called right now, but the little girl who looked like
you talking about the Ewok specials?
Yeah, the Ewok specials. She looked like a young Drew Barrymore. Like I wanted that to be put directly into my vein. I would have watched that all the time. And I feel like the luxury of the time and age that we live in now, it's like there is so much. Everything that I loved as a child is available to me now. Did you
watch the cartoons?
Yeah. They were like, look, they weren't great, but they also were there only sparingly. Like I somewhere there's a box in my office here, and it's got all the Star Wars books that I read growing up too. Like,
while he's looking, I have a bootleg somewhere of that's a good series, by the way.
That was a great series.
I still have a bootleg of the Star Wars Christmas special somewhere in my house.
I watched that on YouTube and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hate watch it.
Our pal Jeremy says, when Captain Picard killed Darth Maul and He-Man took out Vader's skydiver, I jumped for joy. Yay!
Great.
Was that on the Battlestar?
That was on Battlestar New Hope. The Next Hope generation.
TK, you going to defend that belt?
Oh, no. Waiting for someone to come take it.
I'm waiting for somebody to say his name so they can appear.
I don't believe in Joe Henry. Sean Mega says Christian Bale is my Batman.
Who is yours? Who's your Batman? I have two. I hate the fact that one of them is my Batman.
Michael Keaton will always be my Batman. I literally went and saw that horseshit Flash movie just so I could get 5 minutes of Keaton in the cowl again.
Oh yeah, he's great, but unfortunately, he's not my Batman. As much as I love him, he's a great. The first 2 Batman movies are great. I absolutely love it to this day. But
are you gonna say Kevin Conroy?
Kevin Conroy was my Batman, even though he was after the that Batman the Animated Series was great, and all the movies where he did the voice and Mark Hamill did the Joker.
Yeah.
Just like Mark Hamill's my Joker, Unfortunately, though, I also have a slight because of it being on all the time. The Adam West Batman still has something to me.
Yeah, I get that. Did you? And this is more of a question for DK than for you, Jane, but because Jade and I are almost the same age. DK, you're just a tad bit older.
Dirt.
There was that show Batman Beyond. I really, really loved, and I know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm in a minority here or not. I know with my friend circle, like it was just whatever, but I thought it was amazing, and I loved that, and I wanted the movie, and I still want the movie and the live action and all that. And DK, like you were a little bit older, so did you even watch Batman Beyond?
Yes.
Just heads up, I'm 47. I still watch cartoons. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, technically I do too. I'm still going through Marvel's What If right now. When there's nothing else to watch, I'll put on Gargoyles on Disney Plus. It's one of my favorite series.
That's kind of scary.
Huh?
That's kind of scary.
Gargoyles?
Gargoyles are great.
No, I actually enjoyed Gargoyles.
Can't say it, but he enjoyed it.
Jeez, you're on it today, dude.
I'm on something today. It ain't W, unfortunately.
Got my Goliath.
Stone by day, warriors by night. We were frozen in stone for 1,000 years. Then here in Manhattan, the spell is broken, and we live again. Alec Baldwin's Batman.
Willie says Alec Baldwin should have been Batman. You know what? I kind of used to think the same thing too. No. Okay. Well,
the best thing any Baldwin ever did was Kim Basinger.
That is true. Who, by the way, was in Batman.
Yes. Go back to that one. But yeah, see, your Batman Beyond, though, was still part of my Kevin Conroy Batman from Batman the Animated Series. That was a continuation. That's a CW or whatever it was at the time. It was WB exclusive. That wasn't a comic book creation. Harley Quinn wasn't a comic book creation.
And it did become one. Sean Mega says Alex should not be near any weapons.
Bam. Bang.
That's a shoot,
That's
brother.
straight shooting right there.
Oh man. I haven't even had anything to drink tonight, so this is interesting.
Maybe you should have something to drink.
Agua para tu bebida. Agua es muy delicioso. So yeah, just real J updates. I'll be going to the Crash Lucha Libre tomorrow. The big draw for me is that Ultimo Dragon will be there. Ultimo Dragon, a former NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, as he was the
middleweight champion.
Yeah.
And I think welterweight champion.
I kind of wish I had an additional junior heavyweight title to have him sign. I don't know that I'll get to see him. But yeah, I'm excited because he was one of my favorites during the whole cruiserweight division in WCW, like in the late 90s, 96, 97. Really good stuff. So I'm very excited to see him. Also, Daga's returning. The Brothers of Funstruction, don't you know, former NWA tag team wrestlers. They will be there in Tijuana, as long with Cameron Gates, who's a SoCal indie guy, and Daga will be there, the former Mr. Tessa Blanchard. And so, yeah, there's a lot of fun, exciting things that'll be down there. And TJ, I'm looking forward to it. And then this Tuesday, I'll be at the return of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood in Irvine. I'm very excited about that because they're going to see Danny Limelight defend the United Wrestling Network World Championship against Kenny King. Scorpio Sky will be there. Zicky Dice will be taking on QT Marshall for the for the United Wrestling Network television title. They'll be crowning a new Heritage Champion. Big Mama will be there, and subsequently they'll be crowning a new United Wrestling Network Women's Champion. So who knows what's going to happen there? But I'm very much looking forward to that show.
When are they crowning the new Women's Champion?
Well, they'll be crowning that champion on the 25th unless something's changed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, look, I'm not saying this is going to happen because I don't have any inside baseball knowledge, but if Big Mama were to win that title, I will have seen her won a title in 2 different wrestling promotions within a month. United Wrestling Network and the NWA. And she's okay. I guess, promoters really like her.
Somebody should like her. And I don't dislike her. I just really haven't seen enough of her.
Not enough to have an opinion, to be quite honest.
Right.
I heard Jimmy Valiant like her.
Well, Jimmy Valiant liked lots of things that I don't want to talk about.
Oh, my God. Death Valley Driver. Oh, God.
Yeah. Some people try to get past the glass ceiling. He was trying to get past the glass table.
I can't believe you said that.
All right, I'm gone again.
There is so much bullshit chicanery that happened on that message board, and I can't believe, one, that I lived in a time and space where that was available to read on the internet, and 2, some of y'all motherfuckers are gross.
I gotta find that cartoon again.
Please don't.
With Ricky Morton crying.
Yes. If I find it, we put it on the podcast
out there. Jay had a sudden emergency, and he may or may not be back with us later. Maybe once he recovers, but he's losing blood or something. I'm not really sure what. He's going a little lightheaded. So remember when we used to talk about the NWA? Jay?
Remember when the NWA used to be worth talking about?
Yeah, that's where I was heading. Of course, you didn't watch Power this week, did you?
I haven't watched Power, and the last Power I watched is technically when I watched through Mass Luchador's eyes in the front row of the 76th.
Probably.
I didn't watch anything else on that. Jay, you're looking kind of pink. Are you okay? Kind of flushed.
I'm great.
Are you able to breathe? Is the blood back circulating all the right places?
Jaden's on fire tonight, and I'm sure he's going to make me laugh again like that. And I have had no alcohol this evening, no narcotics, no.
Okay. Hey, Jay.
Yeah.
What you need is a piece of my raisin rum cake.
Oh.
You would really enjoy it because, first of all, it's gluten-free. Second of all, it's not got any raisins. Third of all, it's not got any cake. It's just basically rum. And so Jaden went from being very happy to very sad because he wanted the actual raisin rum cake.
Well, yeah, I was happy again once you got back to the rum.
Okay.
I like the raisins and the gluten.
Do you ever, one of the things I used to love, I don't know if you guys ever eat at Sizzler or if you ever ate at Sizzler. We used to go all the time when I was a kid. And you'd get that the bread pudding.
Ugh.
You don't like it, huh?
I like some bread puddings, but I think I know what you're talking about. I was not a fan of it.
It's weird. Like Sizzler always had the weirdest stuff, but I was like, oh, that's really good. And I remember one time my friend who his mom was a single mom, so she didn't have a lot of money and she wanted to celebrate something. So she took me and my friend out to Sizzler, and I was so excited, right? And because I love tapioca pudding. I love tapioca pudding. I did love tapioca pudding. So we're at Sizzler and I'm eating my salad, and then I'm eating some, I think I was like a pasta or something. And I'm like, oh, there's a tapioca pudding. And I put a whole bunch on my plate, and I sat down and I took a bite, and it was not tapioca pudding.
Was it cottage cheese?
It's tartar sauce.
Oh.
I've never been able to eat tapioca pudding again. I almost threw up right there. It was the worst. And I'm a guy that likes food.
I have a reason why I don't eat it. Before I ever had a chance to even try it, I asked my mom what was she, and she goes, "Oh, fish eyes."
Tapioca pudding was fish eyes?
Apparently, that was a nickname for it, fish eye pudding or something like that.
Oh my
like
God.
in Philadelphia or something like that. Just because that's apparently what they look like, is little fish eyes or fish eggs or something.
That's
That's why I don't like boba.
Well,
Not
nobody.
Boba Fett. I love him.
Nobody with intelligence likes boba tea.
All right, one more thing about food, and then I'll stop for the night.
I have one thing now.
My first life, I had a wife who was very trendy and liked to do all the cool things. And she's like, "Hey, there's this place that has boba." And I'm like, "Well, what's boba?" She's like, "Oh, you'll love it." Obviously, we're not still married for a reason. And we go there.
But most people don't know that this is it.
I put the straw in the drink and I started drinking it. And one of those things got in my mouth. I was like, what is this? And it was boba. And I could not believe that I was tasting it. I can't believe that she was into it. And I'm like, we're sharing the drink and I'm literally just spitting them out. And she's like, "You're wasting it." I'm like, what is the benefit of that?
Technically tapioca, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, and now my youngest Piper, and my oldest that was her mom. They all love it, and I'm like, this is gross. It's just gross.
It's gross.
Okay, go ahead, DK. Sorry.
Okay, mine's not as fun as any of yours, but just remembering things childhood that kind of made you sick. Okay, I love pancakes, and to this day, I still love pancakes.
Me too.
And one time I was at my cousins. My family was visiting them, and at the same time, my cousins' other grandparents were there. So not our grandparents, my cousins' other grandparents. My mom and their mom were sisters, and this was their dad's parents. So they're like, "We're having pancakes for breakfast." And it's like, "Oh, good," or whatever. And they're making these pancakes and stuff like that, and I'm so excited. And they look a little bit different than I'm used to, but so I go and I put the butter and I put the syrup and I take a big bite and I'm ready to throw up. And of course, you got to be careful because I was young and you didn't want to say anything to make anybody feel bad or whatever. And so the only thing, so I started just eating around the edge and with this awkward look on my face. And finally one of my cousins turns to me and she goes, "Don't you like them?" And I was trying to find a polite way to say they're disgusting. And they make me want to vomit. And before I could say anything, her grandma's like, she goes, "Why wouldn't you like them?" She goes, "They're just pancakes, plain pancakes. Plain old banana pancakes."
Oh.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, bananas literally make me sick.
Oh.
I despise them too. They're disgusting.
The smell of a ripe one. The smell of a ripe one can make me. How old were you when this happened, Jay?
Like junior high.
Yeah, there's some physical difference you can see between tapioca and.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it, but you also have to understand it was a sizzler. How
That's true.
they didn't look, that tapioca pudding looks very, very nice and clean. That tartar sauce looks very much like tartar sauce. At this particular place, at that particular time, during that particular hour of the day, goddamn same thing.
I believe you.
And in my defense, why is there a bowl full of tartar sauce next to the chocolate pudding? Who does that? Right? Come on. I'll take some of the ownership on this, but I ain't taking all of it.
Jay, the person who put it there probably thought like you. They just saw this white stuff and said, "Oh, tapioca." But
it was the absolute worst.
Yes.
Figure 4 says
kind of like those pancakes.
Yeah. Well, see, and so I guess I didn't know you didn't like bananas because I'm thinking banana pancakes sound pretty good, but you guys don't like banana pancakes. All right.
Nope. No. I would suspect no less for somebody who likes avocado on everything either. Tartar sauce, fish, shrimp, and crabs and lobster.
I would not put tartar sauce on anything, like nothing.
Nope.
Devin Dowling says, I fell asleep first at a party and had cheese with tartar sauce on it thrown at me. Woke up with 30 slices on me, and I can't stand the smell. Devin, were you drinking that night, sir? Because that sounds like...
please tell us no, because it's a lot more interesting story if the answer's no.
I'm picturing him 8 years old with a clown throwing that at him. And a bunch of kids, gonna clown.
Homie the clown?
Homie the clown. Homie, don't play that.
Yeah. And then Sean Mega says, I haven't seen one since the 90s. Are you talking about Sizzler? I used to live in a city called Moreno Valley, and there was a huge one there. And the city I live in now, the city next to us has one. And yeah, I mean, you know what's the most disappointing thing about Sizzler? The prices, man. Wow. It's so expensive to eat there. And I remember eating there as a kid, and you get like the chicken cordon bleu. They'd give you like 2 of them, and it was like $15, and you get the salad for like another $4. And like that was a huge meal, and you wouldn't even eat the chicken. You take it home and have it for lunch the next day. And you take the bread that they give you, and you throw that sand with the chicken cordon bleu on top, and you got lunch for tomorrow. Now, man, my kids, they don't eat chicken cordon bleu. They eat steak. It's like $25 a person to go to Sizzler. Like, man, I go to steakhouse to get better prices than that.
You went to the one in New Jersey, you got better price than that.
It was what was that? The Longhorn Steakhouse. It was great.
Yeah,
and it was fair priced, and that was good eating. It's good eating.
Like I said, for price for quality ratio, that was actually surprisingly good.
Yeah,
I actually have a chicken cordon bleu story.
Okay.
You guys just don't want to talk about the NWA, do you?
Well, no, but we don't. But as long as we're on this topic, anyway.
Sure.
I had a school that used to serve that when I was in junior high, and I thought it was like so good. And I was just like, and I remember telling my mom, I go, I really like this, chicken cordon bleu or whatever. I probably didn't pronounce it right. Probably didn't know what it was, but I was driving through, she was telling me, and I was like, and so one time we went to this fancy restaurant, and it was on the menu, and I said, I want that because I like it at school. And so mom asked if I was sure. I said yes, and everything like that. And so they brought it out, and I took the first bite of it, and it was so great that I could never eat the stuff at school again.
Yeah.
I know you thought it was going the other direction, but no, it was.
I had that happen to me with mango on a Lucha Libre show. The Mexican mango they had there, they served it with hot sauce, but I didn't eat it with the hot sauce. And it was the best mango I ever had. And now I can't. I just no mango tastes good anymore.
I do not typically eat when I go to a lucha show.
I can't fuck up mango.
Did you?
No, I'm terrified because when I was in Mexico City, I think I got food poisoning, or it might have just been like the hotel. Like that's another story for another time. But the hotel was extremely gross, and I was
drink the water.
So I intentionally went to a bodega to buy water, and I don't know. I thought it was fresh, but like I was messed up. Like the entire time I was there, I literally bought a pizza from Little Caesars, and that was the only thing I ate. And then I wasn't very good after that either. But where was I going with that? Yeah. So when I was in Mexico City, I literally I took a tour of the city, the district right before you get to the arena, Mexico. And I was so sick that I didn't eat anything almost the entire time I was there. And I'm not. I go to TJ now, and I go to the lucha shows, and there's always that hot dog cart out front with the bacon and peppers, and it smells so good. And and I never see a sink, I never see gloves, and I just don't. I don't want to take that risk.
Real quick, a lot of times people, because they wear gloves, they actually contaminate more with the gloves than they do without. Second, since we're already talking about things that make us sick to our stomach, what happened on Power this week?
Good segue.
Yeah. Well, first of all, see a comment in the chat. Want to react to it. David Valentine says the NWA Chicago Promotions needs its own titles, and I want to say why. That's another topic that I think DK wanted to talk about after we talk about Powers. You know, the WWE just introduced 2 more titles to its colossal amount of championships that encompass like 3 separate wrestling television programs, along with their social media, and now this ID program. And there's rumor that the Tubby show will have its own titles, and it's like, why do we need so many titles? And when I look at the NWA, and let's just look at Power, let's just look at the top of the food chain for the NWA. You have a world's heavyweight champion, great, the 10 pounds of gold, the most legendary and prestigious title in all of pro wrestling. I'm good. We have a women's world champion, the Burke. Thunder Rosa made that title mean something. Camille made it mean even more. And Kenzie's been doing a really good job with it. Great. You brought the tag titles in. Love those tag titles. And I don't think there's been a bad set of champions yet. And I'll even say that I wish we would have gotten more out of Harry Smith and what was his name? The British guy. Do you guys help me out here?
Harry Smith.
Doug
Williams.
Doug Williams. Thank you.
Why can't you never remember his name?
I don't know. I wish we'd have gotten more out of them as a tag team, but other than that, belt's been fine. Hell, the first TV champion, Ricky Starks, we just saw him get signed with the NXT brand. That belt has been up and down. Carson Drake, okay, I'm all right with that. Mims, the national champion, again, had some pretty good national champions over the years. We have a women's tag team titles, a women's TV belt. It's like, wow, why do we have all these titles? So, okay, you got all these titles. Great. We have territories. This will be great. You have now the NWA Mid-America Championship, which, again, I like. I like Jeremiah Plunkett a lot, and I think that title could mean a lot. But then there's like a Joe Kazana Promotion Championship, the NWA Southeast title that Silas Mason holds. You've got WLW with their own championship. You've got Crossfire that has their own championship. You've got Exodus Pro with their own championship. And what I'm saying is, like, if we just had that Mid-American Championship and the national title, you don't really need all these other belts on the territories. They don't have enough time to showcase these on Power. You could have those guys defending those titles on the territories, and it won't be long before, I know there's the NWA Texas title, the Texas Style Wrestling, and, I just feel like there's way too many belts already in the NWA.
You forgot about the U.S. tag, but I actually may have an inside knowledge on why there are so many championships now in the WWE.
Why is that?
Their agreement with Fanatics is very profitable. Their profit margins are very high. Their cut of that is very good. And when they make belts, Fanatics is what the official distributor, not necessarily the manufacturer, but the official distributor of most things from the WWE. So now those championships are going to be sold as replicas. And imagine if you owned one of every current belt the WWE has.
I try not to.
I want to buy a New Jersey Devils belt, but I won't because it's Fanatics, and fuck Fanatics. I won't be buying a hockey jersey for 10 years unless it's an old one or a minor league one.
What's going on with Fanatics? I mean, what's your problem with them?
They're absolute garbage. The whole product is garbage. The CEO, I'm not giving anybody in that company any money. They take something and they absolutely give you they give you chicken shit and tell you it's chicken salad. And I don't even like chicken salad. It's just garbage. Like, I won't buy anything Fanatics. Now all my hockey jerseys are going to be either ECHL or AHL or maybe something international. I wanted to. For a second, I looked at the new Team USA jersey, which is Team USA versus Canada in the Four Nations, and I'm like, oh, nope, Fanatics, not buying it. Refuse. Won't get anything Fanatics. Absolute garbage product. Ask any MLB fan. How about those uniforms ripping mid-game? You know who makes them? Fanatics. You know who makes merchandise off of every major sport, including WWE? Fanatics. And it's all garbage. Only Fanatics I like is the mascot in Philly, and I don't even really. I just like him. I don't like the team.
I did not know any of that, so that's all new information for me. Thanks for sharing.
And Gritty is a Kensington meth Muppet.
What's Kensington? I don't know what that is.
It's the meth and heroin capital of the United States. It's known for meth and heroin zombies, where people go try to bug Newports off of you as they rob you and carjack you and sell your organs. And that's the nice part of Kensington.
What, we're selling your organs?
Yeah. That's the good part of Kensington. If they drop a bomb on Kensington, it would do about $2 million worth of improvements.
Don't hold back, Jaden.
I'm only telling the truth.
You know who I think the NWA needs?
Me?
Heidi Howitzer.
Who that?
She's on the Indies. She's a former tag team partner of Max the Impaler, and their relationship I don't think ended well, personally, and I don't know the circumstances behind it. But she is, the best way I would explain it is like she's like Mad Max, kind of like steampunk Mad Max with pink hair and a smile.
Oh, interesting. I actually need to find some contacts because I know for a fact Notorious Mimi, who I saw this weekend, she would love to be part of the NWA. And she actually asked if I had any contacts, and I told her I would look around to see if I knew anybody.
You know one guy.
Paul?
Who?
Wrecking Ball Legursky.
That is true. I'll have to see. And I also, I was thinking somebody more in the management, though. I'll have to ask Poyo if Poyo can help. Poyo, if you're listening, I need help. Notorious Mimi wants to get in the NWA, and
Also,
she's a real talent, a real star.
Also, La Rosa Negra.
Oh, yeah. I haven't talked to her in a while, though. She was so great.
Okay, so a lot of good wrestling coming to the NWA. I don't know when, but it's apparently coming. No, some events that are happening this weekend. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the World League Wrestling is doing Salute to the Service 3 in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. We know that the NWA World Tag Team Champions, Murnochs, will be there. Aaron Stevens will be there. Of course, the cast and crew of WLW will be there, including the WLW champion, Camaro Jackson, Leland Race, Attila Khan will be there. And then this Sunday, I think it's Sunday, the 23rd, NWA Texas presents Dog Pound Championship Wrestling Paradox. Of course, you'll see Damage. You'll see Soda Pop Hendricks, Sam Stackhouse, Hunter Drake. I know DKM's personal favorite wrestler. Next weekend, the NWA goes on tour where they're literally going 3 days, 2 dates in New York, Greenport, New York, and that's in conjunction with Championship Entertainment Productions. Then they'll also be in Wellington, New Jersey on the 2nd. I missed a date there. Oh, Freeport, New York on the 28th. Greenport, New York on the 1st. And then Wellington, New Jersey on the 2nd. So, and then also next week on March 1st, the Tough TV tapings for NWA Texas. That'll feature Natalia Markova, Christy Jane, Soda Pop Hendricks, Damage. A lot of the NWA Texas stars will be there. And then in Chicago on March the 7th, the Road to Gold returns for the Chicago event. Expected to be there will be the Country Gentlemen, Natalia Markova, Brian Idol, and some of the regulars that we see in Chicago, like Lily Pescadita, Steve Boz, Marche Rocket. Whatever happened to Marche Rocket? Haven't seen him in a while. Mario Pardua, Anthony Katina, and more. So there's a lot of events coming up for the NWA. I think that's worth noting because for such a short time, the NWA was just Power and its pay-per-views, right? Like there'd be the television tapings and the pay-per-views, and it feels like that the NWA might be looking at the very least, just running more dates, these live events. And I don't know if that's inspired by Brian Idol, but having more of these live wrestling events, I think, is a great way to get more people interested in the product. I don't know what the relationship is with Championship Entertainment Productions and the NWA, but obviously they've worked together in the past. They did the show with Sacred Heart Academy in New York last year, and now they've got like 3 events with them this year, next week. So a lot of good stuff, I think, for the NWA. And I always want to acknowledge when I think that they're doing some good things. And I think doing more live events, I think overall is a good thing for the NWA.
Yeah, it is agreed. It's grassroots promotion at the worst case scenario. Also can help us find new stars, new people to bring into NWA to be booked badly into job and then get title matches. Or become a tag team and get broken up.
That's true.
We should create an NWA. What do you call that thing when trope list? When like something's a trope, like TV tropes and everything like that. We should have an NWA trope list, like tag teams get broken up and
things that are bound to, like when an NWA women's tag team loses the belts, they're both set to leave the company, go sign someone else.
Always one of them.
At least one of them, yeah. So let's talk about Power. Let's not stand on ceremony any further. I know it's not exactly Jaden's favorite thing because, well, he doesn't like Power. And
I like it more than Dave Dahl.
That's not saying much. You don't like Dave Dahl at all.
That's not true. I don't like him that much. I like him less than that.
So let me just get to Power. Now, this is the 3rd showing of the Looks at Kill, which means next week should be the grand finale of that television taping, unless they stretch it out to 4 weeks of TV. This week was a little weird because you should have had 3 full matches in it. Really, we only got like 2 and a third, maybe 2 and a fifth.
That's close one.
Why was Eric Smalls in one?
Oddly enough, no. But Power kicked off with the World Junior Heavyweight Championship match. Now, this seems like odd pacing to me. Like if I was doing this show and then knowing what happened in the final match of this episode, I think I would have put this match on last. This was a junior heavyweight title match, and again, the prestige with the Royal Crown Championship seems to be very lackluster, if you ask me. Oftentimes, Taylor is doing the opening matches, and Taylor's been having a pretty good run as World Junior Heavyweight Champion. So when it comes to Ocasio, I kept saying, like, why is this guy getting a shot at the title? Not because he might be too big for the division, but just because I don't think his accolades align with getting a title shot. Now, apparently,
didn't he win something?
If he did, I don't recall.
Because was he the one that wrestled Slade, or was that somebody else?
It's a great question. I can look it up, but I don't. Yeah. Look, we all know that Jay Spade is the longest reigning #1 contender for the NWA World Junior Heavyweight title, and we haven't seen him on television in like 4 years. So, if they did, if Spencer Slade and let's see, I'm looking up Spencer Slade right now. If he did have a #1 contenders match against Slade, I don't recall him. So Slade was in a world heavyweight number one contenders match, and that was back in Knoxville, I think, at the return to the territories. But
I mean, this was like more recent, because I remember people talking about Slade not being a junior heavyweight.
I don't see
and they didn't. It was like it was like in print they would say it, but like on the show they didn't talk about it much.
Well, it was so okay. At least according to Cage Match, and I know that's not always reliable. Ocasio and Slade haven't wrestled in the NWA.
Okay, it may have been somebody else, but
looking at Joe Ocasio and looking at his NWA matches, and I'm just looking right now off a Cage Match. Again, I'm not saying it's always right. But so Joe Ocasio's first match in the NWA goes back in 2022 in a 4-way match against Colby Carino, Gustavo, PJ Hawks. He did not win. His next match was a 3-way match back in actually the same month against Eric Jackson and Marche Rocket. Again, he did not win. His third match was the next day, and he did defeat Fodder in his first singles match victory. He had a junior heavyweight title match against Colby Carino that he lost in 2023. He defeated Anthony Katina at the Sacred Heart event in New York City last year. Joe Ocasio and Colby Carino beat Jake Dumas and Zion in a tag team match in Florida last year, and then his most recent match against Alex Taylor. So just looking at his repertoire, nothing that I see there indicates that he should have had a title match. And, again, I don't have a problem with giving people opportunities. I just don't think they should have opportunities with title chances at them. Put them in a number one contenders match like DK suggested. Let him earn that spot. But Taylor, on the other hand, has quietly racked up a really quality run as junior heavyweight champion. Now, he won the title back in Chicago in June of 24. He defeated Joe Alonzo, who was quietly leaving the company. Actually, it was pretty loudly. Then he would defend against Tyler Shoup at Joe Kazana Promotions. He defended against Crazy Steve with Juggalo Championship Wrestling. Defeated Jack Cartwheel at Sao Wen 2. Defeated Sean Logan at WLW. And then he had 2 more victories in Poughkeepsie and Decatur last year. So he's been on a roll. And let's not we forget that he and Kerry Morton won the Crockett Cup back in Forney last year as well. So Taylor's stock is probably at an all-time high. Every time he's out there, matches seem to be pretty clean, pretty smooth. And I was expecting this to be a good match. My first instinct when I saw Ocasio was like, wow, this guy looks great. And I know that there's some controversy in the Discord, but I have to think that Ocasio, although he might be the right size, he does look like he ate an entire junior heavyweight. He's a big guy. Now, maybe, I get it. He's also a very fit guy. Maybe he's not very heavy, worked weights, shoot weights, all that other things. He just looked to be a much bigger competitor to me than Alex Taylor. And I know DK has a different opinion of that. But the guy's he's only 33 years old. He's been partially responsible for the NWA showing up in places like Chicago. He's a former FTW champion. FTW is the promotion that Brian Idol runs in Florida. Ocasio was a former champion when the promotion was running in New York. Oddly enough, Idol's still the champion in FTW. The closest you could get to being an NWA territory without actually being an NWA territory. And then Ocasio is also a former Championship Entertainment Productions heavyweight champion. So now I kind of understand why he's in this position. Ocasio is kind of helping to get the NWA on these tours, whether it's working with Brian Idol or just the contacts that he has. It's starting to all make sense now that where he's being put into higher profile matches. I still wish they would just have booked it that way instead of handing him these things. There's enough time to do this the right way, and I don't know why they rush it when they don't have to. In this match, Ocasio overpowers Taylor. Galley and Deals both mentioned that Ocasio is much bigger than the last time that they saw him, and that he's manhandling Taylor. Something on Ocasio's tights, I couldn't read it all the way, and maybe you did, DK. It said something like Ocasio owns the NWA, and I thought, well, that's pretty pretty showy for a guy who's got one singles match victory in the National Wrestling Alliance. But through the first few minutes of the match, it's all Ocasio, all power. At one point, Taylor blocks a suplex to the outside, and then he teases like he's going to dive to the outside like a traditional cruiserweight would do, right? Someone who does more of the flippy dippy, if you will. But that's not Alex Taylor. And although Alex Taylor has been known to take a few high risks, he's toned it down a lot. And I think that might be partially from working with the Southern Six, partially just maturing in that NWA ring. And he's more of a mat wrestler these days, which I think is going to be good for him long-term in his career.
Wasn't he the one that was almost killed by the top rope?
Yeah, but I don't think he was trying to do something. I think it was a ladder match where he fell off the ladder.
Well, I mean, I think they were trying to do something. He fell off the ladder and then almost killed himself. That would certainly make me less flippy.
Sure. So he teases diving to the outside and then basically, doesn't go through with it and then does a double axe handle dive. But I haven't seen a double axe handle like dive in a while. Ocasio catches him, which is pretty incredible. The fact that even if Taylor is a smaller guy than Ocasio, he's still a pretty big guy. For him to catch him in midair was quite impressive. And then Ocasio drives him into the ring post. Deals mentions that it's a square ring post so that there's a corner that Taylor got pushed into, which could have caused a lot more damage. Ocasio efforts outside. He goes to gorilla press Taylor, which I don't know where he was going with that. Like at first I thought he was going to gorilla press him into the ring, but then the announcers made it sound like he was going to slam him onto the ground. I'm not sure, but Taylor was able to avoid it and then shuttered him into the ring steps. So, Ocasio got his comeuppance there real quick if he was planning to slam Taylor on the outside. That changes the entire course of the match. From then on, Taylor takes advantage of the weary shoulder of Ocasio. And then with shades of Kurt Hennig in his head, Alex Taylor does that flipping mare. I think that's what they call it on Ocasio's neck. Just really kind of starting to work that the neck and shoulders of Ocasio. And I kind of appreciate this. I felt very methodical. It felt very like, I dare I say, Dean Malenko-esque. But that's kind of where I felt like they were going with it. They're trying to show you that he's more of a mat technician than a flippy flop cruiserweight. He teases the pin with just putting the foot on top of Ocasio, only good for a 1 count. Then Taylor connects with a drop kick, probably one of the prettiest drop kicks you'll see in the NWA currently. And this whole match went from very high impact, very intense when Ocasio was leading the charge to very slowed down, very methodical with Taylor leading the way. At one point, Taylor has Ocasio set up for his finishing move. They call it the green whistle. It's like almost like a Michinoku driver, like a package Michinoku driver. But Ocasio powers out of it, puts Taylor on the top turnbuckle, connects with a stiff right hand. Taylor looks really dazed. Ocasio hits a superplex. Both men are laid out. They get to their feet after the ref counted a few times. Then we got a fist fight. It went from a very intense brawl to a slowed down methodical wrestling match to a fist fight. Kind of had a lot of elements to this match. Ocasio connects with a few power moves, but he's favoring that shoulder. He hits an avalanche splash in the corner and then connects with a big body splash. It kind of felt something out of the Ultimate Warriors playbook. Then it looks like he being Ocasio was going to connect with like a reverse flying European uppercut or something like that. But Taylor manages to reverse that into a small package for a 2 count. Taylor walks out of the ring. He's done. He takes the belt. He's going to leave. You think this might be a count out match. Ocasio follows him and Taylor doesn't even see him. Ocasio connects with a side suplex onto the steps. That probably should have ended the match, to be quite honest. Like, that was a brutal spot, and I'm surprised that they kept going after that. However, they get back into the ring, and out of nowhere, Taylor hits that green whistle and retains the Royal Crown. I thought this was a really good match, had a lot of fun elements to it. They made Ocasio look really good in this match. He didn't win, but he went He went over, and I thought, excuse me, not over. He didn't go over, but he got over. I think that's the expression. And I'm really curious, DK, what did you think of this match? DK, you're muted.
Yeah, trying to find the unmute button.
There you go.
All right. This is a match that we are going to look at in different levels.
Sure.
So the first level, just as a match, was it a good match? Yeah, it was a good match. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed the style, enjoyed the technique. It was a lot more mat wrestling. It was a lot more intense wrestling. It was good. So the next thing was a title match. Was it a good title match? Well, Alex Taylor, which I'll be a little bit honest here and admit, to my surprise, has done a good job as junior heavyweight champion. Still not my first pick, but he's done what he's needed to do with the belt. Ocasio, like so many challengers, didn't know why he was in the ring challenging for the belt.
Yep.
Now, we have talked about the controversy of size. And so I want to talk about that for just a minute. I was watching the match again just before we came on the air, and I was talking with UJ about it.
Yeah.
And one of the first things you'll notice when you watch it is that they're almost the same height. They're within a couple of inches of each other.
Sure.
And I've stood next to Alex Taylor, and he's right around my height. So I'm 5'7". You're a little bit taller, I think. 5'8" or something? 5'9"?
Yeah, closer to 5'9".
Okay. So, yeah, he's right around my height. So he's around 5'7", 5'8" at tops. Ocasio's probably 5'10". Probably. He might only be 5'9". And so the point is he's billed at 6 foot. And then he's kind of, on some of the wrestling places, he's billed as being like 230 pounds or 240 pounds or 230 pounds or whatever. Okay, when he stood next to Alex Taylor, yes, you could tell he was bigger. How much bigger? Well, maybe 15 pounds.
By the way, just for shits and giggles, Cage Match lists Ocasio as being 6 foot and 238 pounds.
Right. And those are all.
I don't think that's inaccurate. I don't think he's 30 pounds. I don't think he's 6 foot.
Yeah, I was going to say those are all worked weight. Alex Taylor's billed at 207 pounds. Well, again, I've stood next to him. We watched him walk right by us and saw him wrestle right by us in Crockett Cup. I was being generous earlier when we were talking. I was putting him at like 185 or whatever, and you said probably closer to 170. And it's like, yeah, he probably is. So if you would just look at them and go, okay, Ocasio's 20, 25 pounds heavier, and I don't know that he is. Give him 25. So 170 and 25 is 195. But we get used to these worked weights and these inflated weights. And so, I pointed out before, Tully Blanchard weighed 190 pounds. He was billed at 230. Jimmy Garvin weighed around 200 pounds, 205 at his biggest. He was billed at 235. Denny Brown was billed at 220, and he weighed like 160.
Yeah.
And so we get used to these worked weights. And so we start thinking, Kerry Von Erich was often billed at 250. He was 240. At his heaviest, he did get up to 260, but that was like a real short time. CM Punk's around 170. I think, did he compete as a welterweight in UFC? I think so. That was like that's 170. And so, yeah, he's a small guy. And so, yes, Ocasio has won heavyweight titles. So what?
Yeah, welterweight, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a welterweight in UFC, and he would be a super middleweight, I think, in boxing, and they bill him as a heavyweight in wrestling, and he's not even close. So wrestling, they work the weight, so people sit there and go, "Oh, that wouldn't surprise me." Will he? If AJ's 210, because he's not that big of a guy.
I think AJ would be even lighter too.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. When he was NWA World Heavyweight Champion, he was around 175.
Right now, and I'm not trying to, I'm not that very big of a guy. I'm not very tall. I'm a little bit heavier than I should be. I stepped on the scale this morning at 237 pounds. That's the lightest I've been in a while. I can't imagine that AJ Styles is only 20 pounds lighter than me when he walks around in a way better shape. He's not that much taller than me either. AJ's probably about the same height, to be quite honest. And I don't think he's 210 pounds.
And muscle does weigh more. I mean,
sure.
On Discord, I showed a picture of Larry Holmes and
I got the guns right here, man.
The guns. On Discord, I showed a picture of Larry Holmes and Ronaldo Snipes because I remember that fight. Because when the two of them in the ring, Holmes looked bigger. I mean, he was a bigger guy, and Snipes actually outweighed him by about 3 pounds. And that was back when they did weigh-ins closer to the fights.
Yeah.
And I guess technically he outweighed him by 2.5 pounds. And our eyes aren't scales. And we may think we can look at somebody and go, "Oh, I can tell how much they weigh." No. We are so used to, in wrestling, seeing all these worked weights that we think we know based on the lies that we've been told. And, Jim Cornette's talked a lot of times about how you increase wrestlers' weight, especially small wrestlers. He goes, Jerry Jarrett was billed at 199 because he was supposed to be that small underdog guy.
Yeah.
He goes, but, most of them you build over 200 pounds no matter how small they were. And I don't know. Jaden, do you keep accurate or close to accurate weights, or do you just go with whatever they tell you?
No, because we don't have a truck scale for Dave Dahl.
Well, I mean, we all know what 743 pounds looks like.
Yeah, and that's just his ankle.
Exactly.
But no, in dog, there are no scales. Nobody gets weighed in, so they go on whatever they say their weight is.
Right.
In Dave Dahl's sense, we use the cosmic scale.
Right.
Slightly later than Pluto, I think, is what he's currently going at.
Wow.
I don't mean the dog from Disney either.
No, I know what you meant.
Yeah. And so the dwarf planet. So anyway, that's, not a big deal to work the weights, but just because I hear this all the time. And, I remember you saying something about Colby Carino. Oh, he's gotten bigger. He's put on muscle. He's in it. Like, yeah, he's still small.
Yeah.
I go put Ocasio next to Thrillbilly, who's probably at least 280. They bill him around 300. So, and he could be 300. But, I think if you stood him next to Thrillbilly, you would go, "Oh, wow, he's a pretty small dude." And so, as a title match, was it a good, did it work as a title match? Mostly just because of Taylor being a good champion.
Yeah.
And then my only problem was I don't like where they put it in the card, that it was, like you said, the opening match of the show instead of like the main event. Titles should really be main events. And Yeah, I mean, overall, it was the best match on the show.
It is real quick. I'm sorry to cut you off. It is though. The argument can be made to put championship matches or main events on first, because with today's short attention spans, you need something to quickly grab attention, and the most important thing you want to put out there that has the biggest eyeballs and potentially the biggest crowd watching. Especially if you're AEW right now, because they have the only big crowd they have is right after Big Bang or whatever happens to be on before that.
Jeez.
But the WWF used to put Hogan's match first on Saturday Night's Main Event because it had the best chance of drawing the audience.
I mean, that makes sense too, right?
Well, and if you call it the main event, you can stick it anywhere you want it.
Sure.
But, I mean, they intentionally call their last matches main events, and it's just like, okay, stick it on first, but call that the main event of the show. And I think with title matches, you can always get away with that easier because they should have longer time limits. So, it's like, in order to get this in, we're starting it. But, oh well. What else happened?
So then we go, as we're going through the show, next up we have the Southern Gentlemen speak with Kyle Davis before their encounter. AJ is really good. And I might be wrong here. I've liked AJ for a while, but he's starting to grow on me. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, like, there are a lot of parallels to him and to I said Southern Gentleman, Country Gentleman. I knew that sounded off. There's a lot of parallels between AJ Kazana and Thrillbilly Silas Mason, and I think they did have a rivalry in Joe Kazana Promotions. But I think AJ and Silas Mason could be a very fun feud down the road. I think people are sleeping on AJ. He has that presence and that gravitas, and when I hear him speak, like, very similar to Thrillbilly Silas Mason, my eyes pop up and I'm like, well, what's going to happen next? He says that the slime ball should wear yellow to match Carson Drake because they're all a bunch of cowards, and Papa Kazana says, they're going to do it by the book. I thought this was a good promo. I mean, you tell me, DK, was that it? Am I over glamorizing it, or am I pretty accurate on that?
No, I think you're right, and I also agree that AJ has singles push talent, singles push ability.
I don't want to poo-poo on young KC, because I know he is very young. He's still very early in his run, but like I see money with AJ as a singles. And then next up, of course, the retaliatorial promo. You get Carson Drake in the back, no Kyle Davis with him. He's sitting there he's standing while the slime balls are on the floor. It looks like they're eating donuts or bagels. I can't exactly tell. They look like third world starving children the way that they're snacking on these pastries of some sort. He says it isn't by the book that the slime balls offer Carson one of those treats, and he says he's on keto. I don't like Carson Drake. I've said this before. He hasn't grown on me. I know a lot of you guys are thinking that he is the future of this company, and I just don't see it. I don't know what the appeal is. I wish Matthew Underwood was in here to tell me what it is about Carson Drake that he finds so appealing, because I just don't see it. I don't see why you guys seem to like this guy. His promos are cringy. He doesn't have. I heard Logan Paul recently say that he has go away heat. That's what Carson Drake has, is go away heat. Not in a good way. I don't want to pay to see someone beat up Carson Drake. I want to avoid shows that I know Carson Drake is going to be on, so I don't have to watch him. I don't mean to be glib here. I don't think he's very good. And I don't know what it is that you guys find so appealing about him. And if I'm wrong, then please tell me. Show me where he's good. I haven't seen it yet. His laugh makes it seem like he's very uncomfortable. The little dance thing, it's stupid. It's not entertaining. It's stupid. And again, I don't want to see him get his ass kicked. I just don't want to see him at all. DK, what are your thoughts on Carson Drake? Carson Bartholomew Drake.
Ditto.
I mean, doesn't even know what beta alanine is.
Honestly, I don't like Carson Drake, and I don't like the Slime Balls Sage. And the other one, I'm withholding judgment until he matures a little more.
Okay.
But yeah, Carson Drake's. He doesn't do it.
He doesn't do anything for me. He's the worst. All right. So then that brings us to the match. Now, the thing I always ask about Billy Corgan is, like, who did he book this for?
Before we get to that, can I tell you my opinion of Carson Drake?
Oh, please, go ahead.
He reminds me a mixture of Ricky Schroeder and Stewart from Mad TV.
All right.
Look what I can do. No. All
right, that's fair.
Okay, now go ahead.
So that takes us to the match. Willie says Carson Drake is a fake. Figure 4 says, I love to hate him. Got to watch him on the territories. And I mean, I can kind of see the appeal, like if you love to hate him and that sort of thing. I don't love to hate him. I just don't want to see him, like, at all.
I love to hate Dave Dahl, and so does everybody else. They loved watching him get his butt kicked. The problem is nobody even cares him to get his butt kicked. They just want him pushed in a wood chipper.
I liked Carson Drake so much better when he was Jordan Clearwater. I felt like he was a better talent. He had a better look. Anyways, but whenever I look at some of the off booking, like let's be honest, this is a product of what Billy Corgan likes to do with his wrestling. He does something that's a little bit zany, a little bit different, a little bit weird, and I always think, like, who did he book this for? What was the point of this match? Who are we putting over here? How is Southern Gentlemen getting a victory over these guys, helping them become better U.S. Tag Team Champions? How does Carson Drake getting a victory here make him a better TV champion? Are we setting up a tag team rivalry between the Slime Balls and the Country Gentlemen on Power? Because I know Billy said that the U.S. tag titles are going to be more of a territory thing. Like, those are his words. So who was this booked for? Who asked for this match?
Yeah, everybody wants to see the Southern Gentlemen versus the Country Six.
Shit, I keep doing it, don't I? But despite my best pleas, they decided to run the 6-man tag back again, and it's the unlikely pairing of the Exodus Pro trio of the Slime Balls and the NWA Television Champion Carson Drake, taking on the Country Gentlemen and Papa Joe. It was odd and weird when this match came to fruition the first time around. Papa Joe and his boys, the Country Gentlemen, were sitting there having a 6-man tag match for no apparent reason. Again, there's no 6-man tag titles, and it's not exactly like Joe Kazana is a regular in-ring performer for the NWA. Then we get the Slime Balls and Carson Drake coming out and challenging the Kazana family after that first match. And then they took the count out loss from the match when Carson Drake pulled out the Slime Balls. So, like, the first match around didn't make any sense. Drake calls them alcoholics, and they're not going to wrestle somebody who's drunk in the ring. And okay, my only hope with all this is that this match does end up leading to a Carson Drake AJ Kazana feud for the television title. I'm starting to put some more stock into AJ. I think the tag team, as much as it's fun to see the brothers teaming together, I think it's time for AJ to move on from the tag team division. Obviously, they still are the U.S. Tag Team Champions, but these titles aren't even used on Power at this point. He's just carrying a trophy that doesn't really have any significance. So let's move him into the TV title picture, and he could be a good foil for Carson Drake. You got the preppy versus country. The Uber rich white kid versus the Southern country gentleman. I almost did it again, Jaden. Both Kazana boys are much bigger than their father, like by a lot. And Tommy Rant, who is, he's the bigger of the two slime ball guys. He's kind of he's definitely dwarfed by AJ, and he's not that much bigger than KC in the ring. The match starts off with a quick stiff right from KC that sends Rant to the ground. A quick tag to AJ, and that's something that we see a lot in this match is the Kazana, not just the gents, but all three Kazanas are doing a lot of quick tags in this match. Rant tags in Sage. Sage dives on AJ. AJ's so big, he just catches him like a child. And Sage takes advantage of that by, clawing at the face. I think at one point he was pulling it on the nose. It was kind of silly. But it did remind me of a young Johnny Yuma. I've said this before, that Sage reminds me of Yuma. And in this particular match, like I could have swore I saw that same thing happen between Scrap Iron Adam Pierce and Johnny Yuma years ago in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. We get a Papa Joe tag in pretty quick. And Drake tags in. And Drake socks Papa Joe right in the face without any hesitation and proceeds to do a stupid-ass dance. And again, if you guys like it, great. I think it's a waste of time. I think he's a joke. But Joe does this trip on Carson where Carson Drake totally oversells it, flops into the ring, and then you get some ground and pound by Papa Joe, giving out an ass whooping to the TV champion. And I'm getting a little excited here, and I don't want to, because I don't think this is a match that should be on Power, but things are starting to look pretty good for the country gentleman. We get him. They focus Sage. They split the ring in half. Casey takes over, stomps a mud hole into Sage Chance. Casey then misses with a big avalanche dive under the turnbuckle. We get a quick tag from Sage to Rant, who uses his own tag team partner as a battering ram, literally scoops him up like he's going to body slam him, and then uses him to drive his head into KC. It's only good for a 2 count. KC counters with a chop to the throat. They call it the Smother Special. A blind tag to AJ, who knocks down both the Slimers. Joe then gets some offense in on Rant, and AJ holds Tommy Rant down so that Joe can unload on him. And I mean, these quick tags by the Kazanas, the first time we saw Joe Kazana in the ring, I was really disappointed. He had told me at the 76th anniversary show that he still thought he had one more good match in him. And I don't want to see that. I like Joe Kazana. I respect Joe Kazana. He's been on this show, and he's a great dude. But what I saw the first time he was in the wrestling ring was kind of sad. This was not that. Joe Kazana brought his working boots, and he was working in this match. And I was kind of surprised at how good he looked in this ring. This match slows down a lot, and the gents keep Rant in their corner. They continue to, divide and conquer. Kazana's manhandling Tommy Rant. It's pretty impressive because, like I said, Rant isn't a small guy. AJ goes for a Vader bomb, which is not typically in his repertoire. And that was like the big moment where then we get Carson Drake into the ring, almost like a hot tag, almost like a babyface reaction, except for the crowd didn't really care about Carson Drake. AJ neutralizes him quickly. Sage jumps in the ring, takes over. KC comes in, and it's just kind of now it's starting to be kind of schmozzy, kind of like all the rules are getting thrown out. The referee's lost control of the match. Sage takes a nasty spine buster from AJ. Tommy Rant attacks AJ, and it leaves the only two men standing in the ring are Joe Kazana and Tommy Rant. Joe connects with a DDT on Rant. It looks like we're going to get a big victory here for Papa Joe and the Country Gentleman. And out of nowhere, Carson Bartholomew Drake rolls into the ring and rolls the Patriarch up, gets the pin, and Drake scores the victory over Joe Kazana and the Country Gentleman to give them the victory. So like I said, I was telling DK off the air that I had zero expectations for this match. I'm not a big fan of Carson Drake. I did not want to see Joe Kazana in the ring. And it turns out this was a way more entertaining match to me than it should have been. I know Joe Kazana's on social media right now talking about how Jared Fritz blew the call and that his shoulders were not pinned. They made a lot to do with Drake never tagged out, so he was the legal man. I don't remember seeing Joe Kazana tag himself in, so I don't know exactly how that all played out. But not an awful match considering. It's actually pretty good. And I can't wait to hear DKM's part on it. But real quick before you jump in, DKM, Luthez says that Carson Drake wears granny panties. Figure 4 says this week's NWA JCP has Drake, Thrubilly, and Alex Taylor in a 6-man. James H. Jackson says CBD is doing it big. Sean Mega says Carson is all over JCP and Exodus as well. He's obviously doing something right. I don't know. Not my favorite. I'm glad we agreed on that, Sean. Willie says Country Gentleman versus Knox and Murdoch. That would be a banger. I'll tell you right now, I think that'd be a fun match. Figure 4 says Billy sure is doing a lot of social media posting about the NWA. Oh, wait, it's about his new podcast. Yeah, I see that too. And James H. Jackson says the Country Joes, baby. Papa Joe is right. That wasn't by the book. And DK, once you take yourself on mute, why don't you tell me what you thought of the match?
Well, funny you should ask. Like you, I had very low expectations for this match. Like 6 foot underground expectations for the match.
Sure.
And so I guess the fact that it was maybe only a foot underground means it was above my expectations. So, I mean, I don't like it.
Sure.
But I didn't hate it as much as I thought I might. In fact, actually, I was probably a little more indifferent to it. So I never really got into it. Can I ask you a question, Jay?
Yeah, please.
In Alex Taylor and Ocasio, who was the heel and who was the face?
I think the idea was that Ocasio was the face, but it sure didn't seem like it.
Okay. In this match, who was the heel and who was the face?
In this match, that was a more confusing situation because, the Kazanas are not face. Although I like AJ a lot, I think he's supposed to be a heel. I think Papa Joe is supposed to be a heel. But Carson Drake is definitely a heel. So I don't really know. This one was a little bit less black and white.
All right. Well, in both of them, it seemed like it was 2 heels to me.
Okay.
And in this one, though, I was having a harder time getting past that in the sense that I didn't want anybody to win. Like you were saying at the beginning, I couldn't understand what this was doing for anybody. Who, when this was over, was going to come out looking good? Did the Slime Balls get a pin on one of the U.S. champions, tag team champions? No.
Nope.
Did one of the U.S. tag team champions get a pin on Carson Drake?
No, sir.
No. Or even on a Slime Ball? Of course, the answer is no. I saw an old man hit one of the ugliest DDTs or whatever it was that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Although, strangely enough, it was actually closer to what Jake Roberts actually did as the DDT than most of the moves we see today.
Yeah.
And then I see Carson Drake come in and pin the old man.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't pay close enough attention to see whether his shoulders were down or not. I was just glad it was over. And so, Jay, how excited are you to see Papa Joe versus Carson Drake? I mean, is that a match you want to see?
Not at all. No.
And why would you want to see it when Carson Drake got the win? So I don't understand what this furthers, why I would be interested in it. Casey's a young guy. I think he has the ability to improve over time. He needs to get in better shape. Don't look like me. When you look like me, it's hard to, it's hard to be taken seriously. AJ, he's got that big old country boy build.
He sure does.
And so so I'm kind of with you. I think AJ's got some potential there to break out of the tag team thing. I don't know who you put the U.S. tag team titles on.
I mean, look, I wouldn't have a problem with Slime Balls or your U.S. tag team champions, because it's now, Billy Corgan designated that as a territory title, so it's not a belt that's going to be seen on TV very often. So I don't care who really has it, because it's not a power belt anymore. That's like the designation that Billy gave it. That's going to be more of a territory thing. Okay.
Well, I still think, if you'll excuse my phraseology, a proper tag team should hold it, even if they're not around a lot. In fact, even if they're not on Power, if it's going to be a territory designation. Heat Seekers, I don't know if they still wrestle for any of the promotions or not. Maybe the big guys in EC3's promotion that are the tag team champions. I don't know who the tag team champions are in World League Wrestling. Honestly, I don't even know if they have tag team champions. I don't have anyone I'd put the U.S. titles on right now, although, like you said, there's bound to be somebody in the territories that you could do it on. And I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with it being the Slime
Balls.
Slime Balls. Yeah, I want to say Slime Boys. Slime Balls, if more have been done to actually build up the idea that they should be challenging for the titles.
Yeah.
But we know Billy likes to put the losers in title matches. So, I mean, didn't get a lot out of the match. Didn't care much about the match. Don't want to see Papa Joe in the ring ever again. If he had one good match left in it, it's still left in him. And maybe we should just leave it there. And I like him, as a person.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, but I mean, just like I don't want to see Ricky Morton anymore. Thank God we don't see him much at all. I don't need to see Papa Joe, and I don't like the character that Papa Joe is, this Kentucky Fried Colonel. And so, yeah, this match was a thumbs down for me.
Okay. Like I said, it wasn't by any stretch of the imagination a match that I think was, you don't submit that to the Wrestling Hall of Fame and be like, this is what we're doing. But I've certainly seen worse on Power in the last few weeks, so I didn't hate it. But
hey, that's very important.
What's that?
That's very important what you're saying here, because when we go, who are these matches for?
Yeah.
And an important thing to say is this a match that you want out there? I mean, what's the old saying? A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And maybe, Jaden, get your input on this. Is a wrestling event only as good as its worst match, unless something just blows you away.
Not always as good as your worst match, because otherwise nobody would like Dog, because Dave Dahl wrestles on it. But the problem is you have to give somebody something memorable in a good way. And I don't think the NWA does a very good job at that. Television, every second of television should be to better the brand and to make more money. And instead, Billy Corgan treats it as something he could just throw together and do stuff that tickles his fancy, not necessarily what's going to make the company grow and make these guys stars and make them more money and make them more hot commodities and make people actually want to watch it. And I think that's the problem right now with that is they're the rise of Skywalker of wrestling promotions right now. And somehow Palpatine returned and brought a bunch of crappy booking with him.
That was funny. You made me laugh.
Did that a lot tonight.
You have whatever you did to get ready for this week's show, do it again next week.
I showed up.
You say that again?
I showed up.
That's it. So far, I felt like this was a pretty good show. I know DK said no, but it was like, again, from what we've been getting, it was good enough for me, compared to what we've seen in the last few weeks. So that brings us to the main event. Now, this is a match that I was super excited for. Like, I was very, very, very excited for this match, mostly because the build that they had on the last episode of the last season of Power, before they got to Dothan, Alabama, had this great confrontation in the ring. Not a physical confrontation, but a verbal confrontation with Kyle Davis right there between Brian Idol and Thrillbilly Silas Mason. And I've said this a lot of times since then. I have never been excited about a Brian Idol match. I've never been like, oh boy, it's Idol. I'm so excited to see this. I have said that Silas Mason could sell ice to an Eskimo. Silas Mason will get your ass excited for a match. He will get your butt in the door. He puts butts in seats. Probably the best promo in the NWA right now. And in this confrontation with Idol a few weeks back, I guess 3 weeks now, Idol did a good enough job to make me convinced that this was a match that I needed to see. And it made me kind of regret that I wasn't going to be in Dothan, Alabama. It was a good sell by both parties that made me excited to see this match. So they had a lot of hype to live up to. And again, the feud was born out of the Southern Six, the egregious behavior towards Kyle Davis. Incidentally, not for nothing, last week Colby Carino, who came to the aid of Kyle Davis, took on Kerry Morton in a match that had one stipulation, is that it had to be finished in the ring. This week, the match is that falls count anywhere. When I see Silas Mason, and knowing that he's a former NWA national champion and that he's challenged for the world's heavyweight title, every time I see this guy, he looks bigger, more impressive, more aesthetically pleasing for body guys. I mean, the guy's obviously putting time in the gym. He looks great. Last year, he was 2-1 in singles competition in the NWA. I know wins and losses don't really matter, but I still think they should. On the other hand, I don't think that Brian Idol had a single one-on-one match victory last year. Now, in his defense, he was kind of occupied with a lot of the Crockett Cup qualifying matches. Him and Markova actually made it to the Cup itself and were featured heavily in the tournament. So I can understand why he didn't have a lot of one-on-one matches, but I don't feel like Idol got a lot of opportunity to showcase what he could do on Power last year. So again, this was a big match for both of these guys, right? Because earlier in the night, I felt like Joe Ocasio got over without going over, And this is the type of match where I was positive Silas Mason was going to win it, but I felt like if Brian Idol looked good, if Brian Idol could come out there and have a great match against Mason, maybe this puts him in that opportunity to challenge for Carson Drake for the TV title, or puts him in an opportunity to challenge for Mims's national title. It could elevate him. Even in loss, he could be elevated. That's not what happened. It's not what happened at all. Idol goes out to the ring, gets a nice reaction. Of course, he does a lot of the publicity in Dothan for these events. So, of course, the fans kind of know him. He's been on TV, so he's been selling this show. It's great. They do pretty well in Dothan. Then you have Silas Mason walking out, throws a chair towards the ring, looks like $1 million. Like, this guy looks great. However, I would love for him to go right up to Kyle Davis and just belch out, "Nerds," because he reminds me of Ogre so much from Revenge of the Nerds. And, when you look at Idol, he's a pretty big guy. Brian Idol isn't diminutive. Am I saying that right? He's not a small guy at all. Silas Mason makes him look small. The match starts off with the momentum being in Idol's corner. It seems to sway back and forth pretty quickly, but Idol smashes Mason to the outside of the ring. And before, when we had a junior heavyweight champion who was unwilling to take a dive to the outside, Brian Idol threw caution to the wind, loaded up, and was ready to dive out to the ring. But for his efforts, for his trouble, for his tenacity, he eats a steel chair and then eats shit. I mean, my brother, he is down on the floor. His fingers are wiggling. They call the EMTs out. The referee's keeping Mason away from him. This match is over before it barely even started. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if he fell wrong, if he fell hard, or if the chair hit him a lot harder than it was supposed to. I believe that Idol broke his clavicle at this event. I could be mistaken. I'm not sure if the timeline adds up correctly, but damn. Mason gets on the microphone, does what Mason does. He cuts a promo on the Dothan crowd, says, a match where falls count anywhere shouldn't happen in Dothan because the people can't count to 3. Talks about himself being the alpha and the omega of pro wrestling and the next NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. Light day, easy work for the former national champion. Dude looked like $1 million. That match was unfortunately cut short. There was a very legitimate injury to Idol in this match. It wasn't a work. It wasn't a work. It was a shoot. So it was kind of disappointing in that aspect. Of course, if Idol could have looked strong in this match, who knows where his trajectory would have taken him. Obviously, all that got thrown out the window when the EMTs showed up. So you can't even qualify this as a good match or a bad match because it ended in an injury. Silas Mason still looks like a dominant dude. DK?
Oh, sure. Wait for me to put chips in my mouth. Yeah, I mean, the match itself, I can't make a judgment on because there wasn't really a match. So, we had a thumbs up in the first match, a thumbs down in the second match. That's why I rated it a C on the poll and on Discord.
Yeah.
One good match, one bad match, so they even out. I think, like you were talking, first of all, that Silas Mason, was able to pick up the microphone and talk and go on and stuff like that. Because that wasn't planned the way it was. So that means he probably had to do it. And the guy's just talented. He's skilled. And I want to see him in a program with the world champion. In a program, not a match. I want to see him in a program. Someone earlier was talking about the Country Gentlemen versus Murdochs. And it's like, I love the idea of the match, but I'd hate the fact that to have one, then the country gentleman would have to vacate the U.S. titles.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Billy's an idiot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, let's be real here. Billy's an idiot.
I haven't detected any lies so far.
And
that's not very nice, first of all. That's very disrespectful to idiots everywhere.
I know, but I don't like idiots either. So I don't mind if I insult them. But I think that's something that current wrestling on the smaller levels misses. We don't get programs anymore. We don't get a series of matches that matter. And when we do, it's normally, I mean, how many times did Cardona have to lose because he never lost the title in the ring? And so, and then he lost in a three-way, but he wasn't the one that lost. So, you know, and he carried that on for like 3 more matches. It's like, okay, you've been pinned 3 times now. You can stop saying you haven't lost.
Yeah.
And everything. But let's get a program where, you know, we see singles matches, tag matches, other things that kind of get in there. Let's make us want to see a program. There's, you know, that's part of how wrestling used to, you know, sell the tickets for the next show. Oh, you weren't happy with the outcome of this one?
Wait till you see the next.
Come in next week where your face tries to get revenge or win the title or whatever. I mean, that was the money maker. So, you know, feuds were the money maker, programs were the money maker, and they have to be more than just these weird one-offs. And so, I mean, I'm not saying you can't do one-offs, but it needs to be more than just that.
It needs to make sense.
Yeah. I mean, look, someone posted on Discord and, what's his name? Michael Cole or somebody in WWE said, you know, Netflix was interested in us because, you know, we're entertainment, we're story driven, we're not, you know, really wrestling. I mean, obviously, when it was a 3-hour show, they put on 50 minutes of wrestling. So yeah. Not even a third. And then they interrupted that with commercials. Yeah. And, you know, I've said for a long time, that's where Vince was in his sports entertainment thing. Vince never liked wrestling. He wanted stories and larger than life characters and creations. And, you know, he caught lightning with Hulk Hogan and, you know, boo Hulk Hogan today or whatever, you know, there'd be no Stone Cold without Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Because if WWF doesn't make it big, no one gives a shit what happened afterwards. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's that. Where's the lie? You're not saying anything that isn't true.
So, you know, I don't care if you like him or not. I don't care if you like his comments that he's made or not, or the fact that he couldn't tell the truth if, you know, 20 shotguns were aimed at his head. There was something that caught the business on fire, and then we got crap like ECW where things, you know, what is it? Lance Storm always said, he goes, and in ECW we broke all the rules, and then when we broke all the rules, we learned why the rules were there in the first place.
Yeah,
and you see all that, and it's just like I watched 2 AEW matches yesterday. I watched, and they were both women's matches. I watched the TBS title thing with the former Sasha Banks versus Harley Cameron, who I kind of like Harley. When I don't watch AEW, so I don't follow her a lot, but when I see clips that have her, I find her entertaining.
What's not to like about Harley Cameron?
And so, and then I watched the Toni Storm win for the record fourth time, the women's championship. And there were aspects of the matches I liked, but there were other aspects of the matches that is all the modern bullshit that I hate. And like one example, chin up, tits out, watch out for the shoe. Was, she did like what do they call them now? Hip attacks, where the opponent's sitting in the corner, propped up against the thing, and they run their butt into them, but from more of a side. I think they call it a hip attack now. And so she does 3 of those, hits her finishing move, and the girl still kicks out. Okay, all that's now been killed. Everything she did, dead, because it didn't work.
Yeah.
And then the girl comes back and does all these things to Toni, and I think hits her finisher, and Toni kicks out. And then Toni hits like her finisher twice or something, and she kicks out. And then maybe the other girl hits her finisher or something. I don't remember, but there's more. And then Toni Storm just rolls her up. An old package cradle.
Yeah.
That people hate when they do it in modern wrestling. Although, perfectly fine. Good move. And so do the package cradle and you get a 1, 2, 3. So I can all but freaking kill my opponent. Give them concussion upon concussion upon concussion and head blast and head blast and head blast, and they can kick out. And I get a simple roll up on them and it's a pin. And so, when people talk about, what I hate is more than just the flippy stuff. I mean, I will admit, in the right amount, in the right spots, in the right times, some flipping things can be entertaining, right? But when you get matches where that's all it is, I don't find that entertaining. But yeah, watching these matches, there was nothing in them that just made me go, I can't believe I'm missing this. Like, yeah, this is why I don't watch AEW, really.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Jaden, you have any thoughts on killing your opponent and them kicking out?
Yeah, it's stupid, and it's that video game stupid stuff that's been happening where people get what do they call that? Where all of a sudden they're getting their butt kicked and they come back with all that extra energy. It's a video game thing, and I hate it. And unfortunately, as much as I loved All Japan Pro Wrestling, it's kind of evolved out of that. And it's, where they drop everybody on their head constantly, and that's why Wasawa's no longer with us. I hate it. It's stupid. I do have to say, though, I'm very shocked at how big Toni Storm's booty is. I didn't realize it until she dressed as Brian May that one time. She got some thunk in that trunk. Not jump, but some thunk. And but other than that, I just hate it. And the roll-up is the stupidest thing. It is. Somebody actually posted the statistic. They took every match finish in AEW over the last 5 years or whatever, and the most effective finisher in AEW is a roll-up.
Well, I guess and look, I'm not a huge AEW enthusiast either. I've started watching it again, but what I've seen is that there was clips of Tony Storm winning a lot of her matches via the roll up, and that's part of the gimmick, I guess. But that's not neither here nor there. That's just something that for her, that's part of her character. So for her to win that way isn't as crazy as you might think it is.
Yeah, you know what? Billy Corgan does a lot of things that are consistently done, and it's still stupid. Just because it's done a lot doesn't mean it's a good thing.
Sure.
Go dunk your head in the toilet 7 times. Tell me which time is actually a good. Tell me when the 8th time becomes a good thing. You understand? Go eat 9 things of tartar sauce and tell me when to start liking it.
I already told you I don't like tartar sauce
or tapioca pudding because of the tartar sauce.
It's all ruined.
By the way, my experience did not ruin pancakes for me. I still love pancakes.
Raisinets ruin Raisinets for me. I ate so many of them I got sick, and I can't eat Raisinets anymore. I also can't do cherry liquor anymore for some other reason.
Okay, so our pal Noob, he is our resident Natalia Markova super fan, and I know we're running out of time, so we'll do this real quick. We'll answer this question for him, and then we'll wrap it up for the night. But he asked me back on the pre-party, is Natalia Markova the best wrestler? Let me say it a different way. Is Natalia Markova the best wrestler? Noob, I can't really I can't read this the way that you wrote it, so I'm going to try to interpret it my own way. Is Natalia Markova the best wrestler in the NWA? And if so, how do you think she would fare against some of the best women that are in wrestling today?
No, she's not the best wrestler in the NWA. She's probably the Brad Armstrong right now of the NWA, not because she has Brad Armstrong's ability, but because she's very underappreciated and really deserves a better push than she gets. So she's very undervalued. She doesn't get what she deserves. And honestly, she should either go away and learn a new hold, come back to the NWA in like 8 months, or go somewhere else where maybe her talents would be appreciated. And that's my opinion, and I'll stick by it.
Okay. DKM, your thoughts?
I think you could put Markova. I'm going to do this backwards. I think you could put Markova in the ring with any female wrestler on the Indies, any female wrestler in MLW, any female wrestler probably in TNA, and most of the female wrestlers in AEW, most of the female wrestlers in NXT, and all but the top female wrestlers on Raw and SmackDown. I don't know that she is at a level of a top women's wrestler in the place that probably has most of the top women wrestlers. But I would think if she wrestled almost anywhere else, she would be champion if she was just a full-time wrestler for her. At least at some point at some period of time. And is she the best wrestler in the NWA? Is she the best wrestler Billy Corgan has? She's in the top 4, maybe. It's hard to argue with Kenzie Page being the top female wrestler. Kylie's inexperienced, but almost seems to be a prodigy. I've said before, I would not be surprised if Kylie eclipsed Kenzie at some point. I'm not saying tomorrow, but whatever. I would probably put her and Tiffany Neves on about the same level.
Okay.
And so Markova and Neves. So yeah, she's up there in the top. I don't know that I would not say she is the top. So I think she would fare well against most women wrestlers out there, except for the top level WWE wrestlers. Like, I don't know that she'd fare well with, say, Charlotte Flair. My opinion.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean,
I haven't gotten to your pre-party yet.
Oh, I think she's good, but I don't think she's the best. Obviously, look, there's value there, right? He sees value in her. He brings her to his concerts as part of the act, as part of the show. Her and Idol both. There's something obviously that he enjoys about her. I don't think she is the best wrestler he has. And the way I look at it is, if I look past the sniff test, if you put her on NXT, is she better than Jordan Grace? Is she better than Stephanie Vaquer? Is she better than Julia? All of those are resounding no. You put her on Ring of Honor. Is she better than you're gonna kill me for forgetting her name, Athena?
Yes.
You think she's better than Athena?
Yes, I don't think Athena's bad, but I think Markova is a little bit better than Athena.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't think she's much worse than Athena, but I don't think she's better. My personal opinion.
I would balance you two out and probably put her at about that level. I'll be honest, I don't think Athena's the best female wrestler in ROH.
No, I don't either, but she's the champion, so she's the first person I thought of. Luth S says, Markova NWA videos on YouTube outdraw the others. What more does one need to know? I mean, and that's very important too.
Well, we know part of the reason for that too.
Yeah, those same people go to Jaden's videos too. Not Jaden's, but the Dangerous General Wrestling Gladiator videos, and comment on some of those videos as well.
Yes, DK.
And but is she bad? No, hell no. And there are a lot of wrestling promotions out there that could totally benefit from having her on the roster. But if we're gonna say best wrestler in the world, I mean, it's Charlotte Flair, and everyone else is fighting for like number 2, right? At least in women's wrestling. And Markova is not anywhere near Charlotte Flair. And like I said, she's not on that top part of the NXT card. DK made the point, Jade made the point that maybe she's better than Athena, maybe that she would thrive in Ring of Honor. Is she better than Mercedes Moné? When Mercedes Moné is good? Is she better than Timeless Tony Storm? Is she better than Mariah May?
Timeless Tony Storm, yes. The real Tony Storm, no. Like the real Slim Sadie, she needs to stand up.
Is she better than Thunder Rosa?
When her opponents will cooperate.
Sean Vega says Rhea Ripley is the top female wrestler. Is she better than Rhea Ripley?
No. And I disagree that Rhea Ripley's the top. Rhea Ripley's currently the most over.
Is she more over than Tiffany Stratton?
Right now, yes. It is, but it still will be Tiffy time.
Not Rhea Ripley. Excuse me. Is Tiffany Stratton more of a complete package than Markova?
Yeah, honestly, and booked better.
Okay.
And I agree, Stevie G.
What'd you say?
Me?
Yeah. Where did you put Tiffy and Markova?
I think Tiffy is a more complete package.
Yes. I 100% agree with that. I think Rhea Ripley needs to be careful, because I think Tiffany Stratton has a combination of stuff where you know, she can work as a heel, she can work as a face, and you know, you get her in the right matches and put on. I think Tiffany Stratton she can challenge Rhea Ripley for being the most over.
And I think that's why they're putting her against Charlotte.
Yeah, I agree. But Charlotte's still the best wrestler out there.
Yeah, Charlotte's the best pure wrestler out there. So, but when it comes to the complete package, if you're going with the hierarchy, I'd still say right now Rhea is a little more than Tiffany, but Tiffany is growing and still has some growth, a higher upper mobility and a much higher ceiling than she hasn't reached yet. Unlike that glass table with Jimmy Valiant.
Well, that was gross. And Shawn Michaels says, why is Markova wrestling men? Because Billy doesn't know what to do with her. Like, pure and simple. He does not want to put her in the same. Okay, so obviously things are fluid in the NWA right now, and there's been 2 big events since Looks at Kill. I mean, their TV tapings, and they also had the event in Texas. What was it? Shockwave or something like that. So there's some things that could have happened. I don't know who the current women's world champion is. It was Kenzie Page up until this last Signature Live event. It was Kenzie Page, but who knows? Is Markova wrestling men? Maybe they want to keep Markova away from whoever the world champion is until the time is right. I can't tell you, but I think this is a good stopping point for us. It's a little bit later than I like to kind of keep it right at 2 hours. I think that's the sweet spot. So that's what I'm shooting for. So we're going to wrap it up. But first, I want to let Jaden talk about some upcoming events that are happening with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. And if there's anything you want to add, DCAM, let me know. But for now.
Apparently my phone did not want to unmute. So, all right, Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators just recently had an event at the Monmouth University. It was a great event, top to bottom. It was hampered a lot by the norovirus. A lot of wrestlers were unable to make it because they were jobbing to the Tiny Ball Man. So the card changed quite a bit for the way it was supposed to be. The first match was Tyler Ski, as also people call him because it's SKI. He defended the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Alliance Championship against Jack Martins. Tyler Sky won in a good match between tag team partners. They had a good match against each other. Tyler Sky came out victorious, is still your Mama champion. WWE superstar Tank Tolan got a shot at the Dog Tag Team Championship. He said he had a partner that he was going to choose. Tag team champions are obviously the War Devils of Daredevil Dave Dahl and Dylan Mesh. Tank, former WWE superstar, chose Breaker Morant as his partner. So Tank and Breaker took on Mesh and Dahl. Tank and Breaker won by DQ. That actually, because of the low blow onto Tank Tolan, I believe. That led to a match where Jim Molyneux came out and started yelling at Dave Dahl. Dave Dahl got a little angry at that, hit Jim Molyneux. Jim quickly made a match between him and Dave Dahl. Dave Dahl controlled most of the match, but while the referee was distracted, Tank Tolan came in, hit Dave Dahl with a spinebuster slam. Jim Molyneux then hit Dave Dahl with the stunner, hit him, pinned him 1, 2, 3. I will announce now, Dr. Zirconium hasn't announced it yet, but he has seen that match. He watched the entire card today, and there are going to be repercussions coming to Jim Molyneux. I don't know what his announcement is, but he says there are going to be things paid. He did fine Dave Dahl for hitting an official in Jim Molyneux, so there's a big hefty fine. That's at least a three or four meals worth of money. So it's a really big hefty fine for Dave Dahl because he has 3 or 4 meals of him. It could feed three or four third world countries. But so Jim Molyneux came out. Then Dave Dahl started walking to the back. Breaker Morant, whose opponent was not going to be there that night, he had that norovirus, said he's without a challenger for the Dog Championship. He said, how would the guys like to see Dave Dahl versus Breaker Morant? That match was booked for later in the evening. Fallah Bahh absolutely destroyed Connor the Flag Boy. Actually, tore his rotator cuff from a big sit-down splash, and Fallah Bahh won that match. Very entertaining. Mike Z took on Isaac Taylor. Mike Z came out the victorious. It was a good match, very entertaining. Breaker Moran did defeat Dave Dahl. Dave Dahl always said he wanted a championship match. He finally got it, and Breaker Moran beat him within an inch of his life. And the main event, Enzo Amore and Biggie Biggs with Notorious Mimi in their corner took on main event Michael Mars and Justin Carino. Entertaining match. Mimi did get a little bit involved. They referee allowed it. I'm not sure why. But Enzo and Biggie came out victorious. This was Biggie's return to Monmouth University, the school that he has graduated from in a degree in communications. And Biggie Biggs came and Enzo Amore came out the victors. Crowd went absolutely nuts for that. They loved every bit of it. Enzo's shtick, say what you will, it was super over with the crowd. And Biggie and him celebrated along with me, and he celebrated that victory. Now, coming up, we have the Nerd Force Fan Fest on March 15th. We're going to have a table there, and there's going to be a promo battle. On April 17th, Rowan University. You're going to see Dangerous Journal Wrestling Gladiators come back for Rowan University. That's going to be always great. We got Donovan Dijak. We got Alex Taylor. I keep wanting to say Alex Taylor. But from MLW. And we have Notorious Mimi is going to be there. Tank Tolan's going to be there. And NWA Superstar, Wrecking Ball Gursky is all going to be there. So it's going to be a great event. You also see the current dog champion, Rick Moran, the WWGP champion, Mike Goldie, David Goldie, I'm sorry, and the World Wrestling Grand Prix women's champion, Valerie Verman will be there. Plus, of course, Dave Dahl and Dylan Mesh, the dog tag team champions. So, unfortunately, Dave will be there. But we got some great wrestlers and Dave Dahl. After that, the South Jersey Geek Fest. It is a free event, part of the South Jersey Geek Fest. It starts around 10 or 11, ends around 4 or 5. They'll be wrestling throughout the day just so you can see professional wrestling top to bottom. Hopefully, you get to see some part of it while you're going around buying your lightsabers and getting your Iron Man masks and your Star Wars communicator, Star Trek communicators and all that stuff. So make sure you stop at that. And then the first big public event is going to be June 28th at the Sacred Heart Church in Riverton, New Jersey. Currently signed. Breaker Morantz is going to be there. Dave Dahl and Dylan Mesh are going to be there. Mike Goldie are going to be there. Or Dave Goldie. I keep saying Mike Goldie. I don't know why. David Goldie are going to be there. So you got if they're still champions, they'll be defending it at that night. I think Tank Tolan has said he's going to be there. So former WWE superstar Tank Tolan. I think, if I'm not mistaken, from OVW Ohio Valley Wrestling, you're going to have Do You Get Bundles. He said he's going to try. He's going to be there. I have to confirm on that one. So it's going to be a good card from top to bottom. Can't wait to see it. Again, that's the 28th of June at the Sacred Heart Church in Riverton, New Jersey. So make sure you come. If you're going to guys, if you guys want to come to see a dog event, make sure to see either the South Jersey Geek Fest one, because that's a public one, or come see the one at the Sacred Heart Church, or come both. Chris, I hope to see you both there. And I also hope to see you at the Nerd Force too, so you can see it, come say hi at the table and get some other merchandise. There's going to be a lot of good vendors at both of those too. And again, South Jersey Geek Fest, make sure you're there, and the event at Sacred Heart Church, and that's all the dog stuff. Oh, and stay tuned, because I haven't watched it yet, but we have the footage. It's being uploaded for the last event, and it's going to be broken down into matches. When those matches are broken down, they're going to be on the YouTube very, very soon. So I can't wait to see that, and I'll make sure it'll be posted, and then you guys can see all that great action we talked about at the Monmouth University. We got more stuff in the works, including, I can't announce it yet because the T's aren't crossed and the I's aren't dotted, but we're going to be doing a fair event up in North Jersey, and it's going to be 5 days of wrestling action throughout the entire fair. So I'm waiting for the things going around before I can officially announce it. But summertime is going to be a lot of fun, and we'll hopefully have even more stuff going on with Dog Pro Wrestling.
Is North Jersey rustic?
No, North Jersey's a dump.
Fair. DK, do you have anything you would like to add with regards to IHWE or anything else before we call it a night?
Yeah, sure. Something real short. All right, people. Listen up. Getting a new promotion and getting it started is a pain in the ass. It's a struggle. And I'm running into every roadblock there is. But don't think that's going to stop us. Don't think that's going to stop me. Don't think that's going to stop the promotion. Don't think it's going to stop the dog that's laying on the bed back here. People are going to want this belt. It's old. It's beaten up. It's upside down. Doesn't matter. People are going to want it. It's going to be one of the top titles here in Texas. Count on it.
All right. And I think that's a great place to stop. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. Of course,
buy your dubby. Get some shirts.
Get some
Trophy
shirts.
Smack. DogProWrestling.com. IHWE. Jay is not Kevin Owens.
And also one last thing, our pals, the Other Alliance guys, will be live Sunday, 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. I believe that's 6:30 p.m. over there on the East Coast. So make sure if you guys enjoy our pals over there at the Other Alliance guys, you give them a watch. But until next time, we'll see you all at where is it now? Of course, it's not ever there when I need it. See you at the matches. Good night now. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. for NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.